My friend noticed a 5-year-old in her class was getting graped. So there was this 5-year-old girl she noticed in a class would never sit down. Everyone thought this little girl was a stubborn shrew of a child because she would never listen and insisted on standing and walking everywhere. So my teacher notices this and had just learned that refusal to sit down can be a sign of physical abuse because it's painful for kids who get beaten across the backside to sit still makes sense. So my teacher mentions it to the classroom teacher and get blown off repeatedly. She says something to the school psychologist she is interning with and gets blown off. Both of them tell her they see this all the time, that she is new doesn't know what she is talking about, and that this little girl is just a troublemaker. My teacher is really distraught, so she goes back to her own graduate professor who tell her to talk to the school nurse. Thankfully the nurse is cooperative and calls this little girl into her office. She asks her some questions on if she has been hurting in her private areas and she says no. So the nurse asks if they can examine her. This little girl drops her underwear, hops up on the table, and exposes herself like it was no big deal some stranger was asking that. My teacher says she has never seen a more horrific example of prolonged sexual abuse to this day. There was nothing normal about how this girl looked down there. The nurse is horrified and the school calls the cops. The cops question the parents and think the mom knows what is going on and is involved in the abuse because how could a mother not know about what was going on with her own kid? The cops discover that the mom worked nights and for her whole life had never once put her daughter to bed or woken her up in the morning. This girl's father had been molesting and raping her since she was an infant and no one ever knew. They also found out he was starting to molest the other 2 siblings in the house who were younger. That little girl had to have total reconstructive surgery.